Welcome to the Rent to Rent Success podcast, all about creating consistent cash flow, escaping the 9-to-5, and really living life on your terms. This is the only podcast entirely dedicated to helping you achieve rent to rent success. It's our place to inspire each other to believe bigger, to be bolder, and to be game changers for good. I'm Stephanie Taylor, your guide on this exciting ride. Let's start up the engines and get ready to fly. Hello, hello, hello. It's Stephanie here. So good to be back in your ears. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Do come inside. It's great to see you here. And we are on episode 43 of the Rent to Rent Success podcast. And today we're talking about buying property. It's part of our Mythbuster series and busting common myths about rent to rent. And we'll be answering the central question, should you do rent to rent or should you buy? If you're wrestling with this dilemma even, you'll love this episode. Before I start today, I want to thank you for all your reviews on Apple Podcasts and on Spotify. It's phenomenal. Maybe you could leave one today. Yes, you. This one is from Sarah. And Sarah says, insightful and inspirational. Stephanie's message is clear from the start, with great rent-to-rent advice, tips, tricks, and information provided. Such a value and inspiration by a successful leading lady. Great listen. Thank you, Sarah. That just makes me feel so good to read that, because sometimes I'm here recording on my own and it's lovely to get that feedback from you as you're listening. And if you enjoy the podcast too, please do subscribe and review. It really does help others find us and it makes us really happy as well. So thank you. Really appreciate it. Now I'm going to try and make you really happy with some great rent to rent advice. So some people are put off rent to rent because it's a cash flow business. So although you don't need a lot of money to start and you make really good cash flow quickly, you don't own the assets. So you don't get the capital appreciation that happens when your property goes up in value. So should you do rent to rent or should you buy your own properties? Now, I might ruffle a few feathers here, but this is the truth, isn't it? For all of us who want to build long-term wealth we can pass on to others, buying assets has to be part of that. Property is an asset that everyone on the rich list invests in to a greater or a lesser extent. So absolutely, if your goal is long-term wealth, then buying property assets should be a part of that. But for many of us getting started, we don't have that money in the bank to start out with buying our own properties. And of course, you could raise money to buy properties with other people's money, but not everyone feels ready to do that before they have any experience themselves. And rent to rent is a fantastic solution for you if you want the experience and the cash flow before you begin raising money, raising other people's money to buy properties of your own. Not only can rent to rent help you make a great living from properties you don't own, then rent to rent can help you build your own property portfolio using creative strategies like lease options, exchange with delayed completion, seller finance, and those strategies. This means you can buy properties without having 50K in the bank. And the lease options and the exchange with delayed completion strategies, where you buy properties without a mortgage or a big deposit up front, they're sometimes known as no money down strategies because you can secure properties for as little as £1. The basic principle is that you agree a price with the owner that you will pay in the future. These types of contract can be agreed in many, many, many different ways. And I go into more detail about how these strategies work in episode 3 of this podcast. So it's called How to Buy Property with No Money Down. So if you haven't listened to that one yet, definitely worth a listen. So if you can't afford to buy, why not start out your property business with renting, with rent to rent? Rent to rent can help you buy property in 3 ways. It's highly likely you'll get opportunities. Number one, it's highly likely you'll get opportunities to buy properties with creative strategies too, because some of your landlords will be open to selling their HMOs. And that is how we got our lease options exchange with delayed completions. 2, rent to rent is a great way to build your cash flow faster. And when you build your cash flow faster, your money grows quicker. So you've got more money to invest in properties. And the third way that rent to rent can help you to buy your own properties is that the experience you get in rent to rent will help you secure the bank lending and the private investments, because you'll have a track record in property with your rent to rent business. And although bank lenders, typically the advice is that if you have experience managing properties, it won't be taken into account by bank lenders. Only properties you own were taken into account. We found that wasn't the case because our broker explained about the different types of properties that we managed, the number of properties we managed, the reviews we've had from landlords, the before and after pictures from the properties, etc. And all of that track record helped the lenders see that we were a good bet for securing traditional commercial finance. And also that same track record will help you to secure private investment, whether it's from family or friends, which is a great place to start when you're first starting out. So in summary, yes, definitely your goal, if you want to go into property for long-term wealth creation, should be to own assets and to buy property. And rent to rent is a great place to start if you don't have the funds to do that yet. Let me know what you think. I'd love to know what you think in the comments, or send me a message. I'm at Stephanie T Property on Insta, or do a photo shot of this episode and tag me in on Insta stories. So I love hearing from you all. So that's it for this week. If you want more and you want to come and see, we have got a searchable series of videos, podcasts, and all things rent to rent. Come and see us at renttoRentSuccess.com/blog. That's renttoRentSuccess.com/blog. And you can search it as well, so you can get exactly what you need. So until next week, have a great rest of the week. And remember, believe bigger, be bolder, be a game changer. See you soon.
Thank you so much for listening. If you like the links for anything mentioned in today's episode, or if voice is not enough and you want to see us on video too, you can find all the show notes and lots more at renttoRentSuccess.com. That's rentsuccess.com. If you've enjoyed today's episode, we'd super appreciate it if you would take a few minutes to review it in your podcast app. Remember, we'll be donating to our B1G1 charities too for each review you give. Until then, believe bigger, be bolder, be a game changer.